Guys, it's me, Paco, and welcome back to By Which Books. Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over my January reads, what I read in January. I ended up reading 7 books, I believe. 5 of them were young adult fantasies. 1 was a graphic novel, and 1 was an adult romance. So we're going to get started. So the first book I read in January was Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is a YA sci-fi book. I forgot to count it when I counted the genres. About a girl named Spencer, who her father was a pilot that fought this alien invasion on this planet that the humans are living on. And her father ran away from it and became a coward, and so she and her, years later, is being she wants to be a pilot to make up for her father being a coward. I enjoyed it. 4-star read. So my first book I read this year. Good start to it. I've been nervous about getting into Brandon Sanderson because I know he's such a big author big name in the book world. So I was nervous about it, but I really did enjoy it. It was for my book club that I go to, in-person book club I go to. And it was fun. I thought the audiobook was really good. And my favorite character was Mbot, which is this talking ship, was really cool. I really liked the way it dealt with toxic masculinity, almost in a way it felt like. Or at least because, the society has a very, how do I say? It's, don't be a coward. How many times am I going to say, don't be a coward, be brave, be a fighter, and just it's so much that it's toxic for the community, and the way that it's kind of dealt with. I thought that was a really interesting way to deal with it in this story. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. So the next book I read was a graphic novel. It was Wonder Woman, the Hecatea Deluxe Edition by Greg Rucka. So this comic follows it is set pre-New 52, so pre the reboot that they did for DC a couple years back. But it takes place, this girl seeks out Wonder Woman and goes up to Diana and says she has this, let me be your, basically performs this ritual known as the Hecatea, where basically she is put under Diana's protection. And then it turns out that this girl is on the run from Batman because she committed some crimes in Gotham. But you find out why she committed the crimes, and it's really interesting a play. It shows the difference between Diana and Batman, and you get this iconic fight that leads to this iconic picture of Diana's foot on Batman. And I really enjoyed it. Batman was really bold. I'll say that. He was really bold in this comic, telling Diana to just move out the way. And you see where this leads. I really do enjoy the art. I mean, Greg Rucka's a really good writer. I did give this 3 stars. And it did read like a Greek tragedy. The art was really good. And everything. Yeah, I enjoyed it. 3 stars. 3.5, I think, actually. So the next book I read was Shielded by Caitlin Flanders. Most of these books, if not all, were chosen by my brother, because he chose my January TBR. This is a book I would not have read if he hadn't. I've had it forever because it's a Fairy Loot edition book, and I just had no interest in really reading it. And I gave it a 2-3 stars kind of rating. I think a 2.5. It was just basically a basic fantasy. I didn't care for any of the characters. World building was alright. And yeah, it didn't do anything for me. So I gave it almost a 3 star. It's a 3. But on the cusp of being a 2. Next book, A Wicked Magic by Sasha Lawrence. This is a book about 3 girls, Dan, Liz, and Alexis. Dan and Liz, the summer before this book starts, because the summer, or when the previous high school year, find this spell book and are become witches, and they do a spell that goes wrong, and Liz's boyfriend goes missing, and then the school year starts, and Liz and Dan are no longer talking. Liz goes to a completely different school, and Dan has a new friend named Alexis. I enjoyed this. I was actually surprised I thought at first reading it I wasn't going to enjoy it, and then we get Alexis's point of view, and she really was a saving point for me in this book, because the 2 main characters were irritating to me at first, but I did end up going to like them too and enjoy it. I would say check the trigger warnings, because they're trigger warnings for child abuse, both mental, like verbal abuse and physical at one point, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm. So I would like look into the trigger warnings for this book, but it really did have these three girls and show how they dealt with a world that is unkind to young girls, and just having magic also to it was really interesting, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars because like it's not the best thing I read, but I think it's a 3.5, but I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to read what she has coming up next. So I think she has a vampire book coming out next year or this year, and I'm excited. I've got my eye on that. So next was Blood Air by Amelie Wenzel. This book I was really excited to get into. I've heard good things about it, and it's a girl that Anna, basically. She is the princess of this like Russian-inspired fantasy world, and a year ago she was accused of killing the king because she is a blood infinite. So basically, she has blood magic, and she goes on the run, and she's trying to find her father's true killer. And then she meets this prisoner, who's the other POV we get in the book, and they try to, like, solve what happened. And it's an interesting book. I like the magic of it. I like the world that was set up more than I liked what happened. I will probably continue with the series to see what happens, but, like, the main character was alright. It just should take me forever to get through this. So maybe it wasn't, like, 100% for me. I feel like a younger me would have loved it. But I will continue with the series. Looks like 3 stars. Next was Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the first book in a duology, I believe. And if you can see it, because I know the glare is a little bit. But this book is about a girl who, in this kingdom, there's this kingdom where this plague is hit, and it's a lot of people are dying, and the king and his younger brother, the king's justice, are trying to do their best, but because of a lot of shenanigans, not even shenanigans, but like political intrigue and stuff like that, basically the poor people are being screwed over. And so this girl, she goes and she steals the flowers, which is their only thing for the medicine for it. And she makes the medicine to give to the people. The only thing there's this flower, that's the only thing that can cure it. I am rambling. But to my thoughts of the book, I enjoyed it. I do like Bridget Kemmerer's writing. I enjoyed her trilogy, A Curse So Dark and Lonely trilogy. I enjoyed that, so I do enjoy her trilogy. The plot twist was really interesting, and I like her characters. So I give this 4 stars. I really liked our healer character, our main character. What's her name? I should have this memorized when I do reviews, but Trish, yeah. I believe our main character's name is Trish. I really did like her. I thought she was way better. This is way better of depicting a character who was a healer than another book that has a healing in the title, but I didn't like that character as much. I'm not going to talk about that shade. But I really thought she was interesting in what it was to be a healer, because there was just certain lines she wouldn't cross. And I was really also surprised with how much I liked our king, the other POV, which is the King's Justice, who is like this, when you start the book out, he's this kind of like no holds barred, brutal like leader, but you find out stuff, and he actually has a character arc that is very similar to another popular character, where they have this portrayal of them to the society of being this cruel, mean, evil person. But at least with this character, that you see in his head, and you see he doesn't want to be making these choices. He regrets these choices that he has to be making, and that he's like, he doesn't want to make it. He's doing what he has to do, and he feels sorry for it, unlike some other character that's really popular that kind of does the same thing. But we're not going to talk about that. If you can kind of see the series, you might know what I'm talking about. But we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, 4 stars for Bridget Kingdom. Defy the Night. Bridget Kamara's book. So the next book is The Queen Assassin by Melissa de Cruz. This is a YA fantasy about a girl named Shadow who wants to be a guild of assassin member, but her family wants her to do court life, and so she decides to, instead of going to the castle to be part of court like her aunts are telling her to be, she decides to help the queen's assassin, with this plot that they have to do for this mission. And I gave this book almost 2 stars. The main character really irritated me. And she was just very, I keep saying but she was very, how do you say, she knew she wanted to be an assassin and be a spy. But, the simplest spy and assassin tasks seem to be so, how could we do this? How is this? It just seemed very kind of irritating, to me. She wanted to be it so much that she, went against her parent, her parental unit, kind of, because she doesn't live with her mom, she lives with her 2 aunts. And she goes against there and sneaks out and, does her own thing so much that she doesn't, to me, want the ideals of it. And maybe it is because this is a younger YA book than what I've been enjoying lately, but that just kind of really irritated me. And even the main character, or the male love interest of this book, who is the assassin, who's supposed to be this queen's assassin, gets distracted by the most simplest things. So, and it just made the plot a little bit convenient, but it was alright. Like I said, 2 to 3 stars. It's not a terrible 3 stars, I think more than 2. Not a terrible rating. The world was interesting, and the lore behind the world was really interesting too, which I'm finding it weird that I have a lot of books where I'm liking the world more than the characters. So I might continue with the series because this is actually a really pretty cover, and the next book is pretty cover too. So the next book I read was for my 12 Recs by 12 Friends. Which is this challenge I am doing that was on Twitter, and I am doing. So the first book was recommended to me by my friend Malia from Literary Fairy. She had me read The AI Who Dumped Me. I do not have that book physically. I listened to it on audiobook, and I gave it 2 stars. Sorry, Malia. I did not like it for the fact that I felt so the plot of the book, let me backtrack, rewind. The plot of the book is this girl, she is living in this apartment that is run by this company that she works for. But some traumatic accident happened, and she hasn't been able to leave her apartment or go back to work. And so she's not stuck in the apartment, but that's basically it. But she ends up meeting her neighbor's nephew, who turns out to be an AI. It's the whole plot of the book. It's not a spoiler. And they start to kind of fall for each other. And the book was very insta-lovey to me, which is a big no-no for me. I do not like insta-love that much, unless they're drawn to each other for a mystical reason, that's another note. But and then it felt like she was trying too much on the world building of this world, because it's a book that takes place in the future, and it felt like she was the author, in my opinion, was spending too much time on the world building than building the actual relationship. And since this was such a short book, it was a 2-hour audiobook. It was not long. It's a mini, one of the audiobook original things. Which the audiobook cast was amazing. They had Regina Hill in it. Hall, not Regina Hill. Don't know why I said Hill. But it has Regina Hall as a narrator, and then Mindy Kipling also narrates at one point. So I really enjoyed the audio cast for it. But the story just wasn't giving me what it wanted to give me. I said, the world building just felt like it kind of took over the plot. And that's fine, but when you have such a short story, it make the romance and connection seem really forced, and I just didn't care for it as much as I wished I did. But yeah, so that is what I read in January. What did you guys read in January? What are you guys excited to read for in February? Because it's already February. Yeah. And if you're doing the 12 by 12 challenge, how's that going? My first one. Sorry, Malia. It was a 2-star. I told her, she was like, God damn, when I told her the rating. But I will see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoy your day.